Rhythm Changes is partnered with the Inlet Music Series in Port Moody. I've been going down there. This is in my neck of the woods every month to go hear some music. And before each show, I've been talking to at least one person who performs in each edition of the series. So it is my great pleasure to bring you the artist who is headlining this month of February 2026. This is on February 21st, and it's Krystle Dos Santos. So please welcome Krystle.
Hi, Will. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to speak with you. I believe this is first time for me, though I've heard you before talking to you, so it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you.
Yeah, I know you do so many different things. I really want to throw it back to what ended up being one of my favorite new projects I've heard in the last couple of years, where you played a big role. It's not an original music project necessarily, but it plays the music of an artist who is very important in past decades. And you and other people like Don Pemberton and the ringleader of the project, Mary Ancheta, had great fun with it. So can you talk to me about the Betty Davis show and the Betty Davis project?
Oh man, that is such a cool and fire show. I am, sort of shameful to admit that I didn't know Betty Davis before this project was offered, and she's one of the coolest cats out there. Like, her music is from the '70s. She was the wife of Miles Davis, or one of his wives,
Okay.
and she was such a spearhead and like influential sort of force in funk, like some of the coolest, funkiest stuff. And of course, influences of jazz and soul. And she was an incredible songwriter. And this show has allowed me, and her music has allowed me to access this part of my voice, which I don't get to use as often or in that way. And it's just sort of like growly and really like brassy and so much fun. It's so much fun. And that team, Mary and the whole team, is just unbelievable to work with.
Yeah, I saw it at Heroes. I didn't
Oh,
see
nice.
some of the ones like the Fox, the Big Funk at the Fox show. I didn't see that. I didn't see the Blue Shore one, but this has happened in a few different places. What I
Yeah.
do for you specifically from the Heroes show, and the front line of vocalists is incredible. Three distinct personalities who all really brought something to this picture of Betty Davis's music. Leo D. Johnson, yourself, and Dawn especially. But I remember you saying, as a bit of crowd banter between a couple tunes, you were like, I think the '70s is my era, everybody, or something like that. You owned it.
I think it might be. I think it's kind of there for me. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's such
yeah.
it's an interesting meeting of the minds. And again, like, not we all, do these original bands and original projects with other people, and we love that. But the chance to like discover something that's old but is new to us, like I didn't know about her either. It's pretty special.
I agree, and I feel like I'm really leaning into that and recognizing that more than ever, and seeing the greatness that has passed us. Not passed us by, but like is in our past. I think it deserves the uncovering, the highlighting, and it's a little bit of the underground and not so mainstream stuff that's really special and cool to just rediscover as well.
Yeah, so that was brought to us by Infidels Jazz, that show in particular, and some of the other ones. Some of the things you have upcoming, in addition to the Inlet Music Series here in February, are also presented by Infidels Jazz. And you were playing at the VIFF Center. That's the first one that's kind of on my radar here on
Yeah,
February 7th. And
yeah.
this is again an occasion where you're going to get to sing the music of an artist from a prior time with a great band of yours. You're going to sing the music of Jackie Shane opposite a film screening. Can you talk about that?
Oh, totally. So I discovered Jackie Shane as I was developing a show called Black Canadian Women in Music. And I'd also heard about her from CBC playing her music and things like that. And I thought, gosh, what a cool sound, what a cool vibe. And Jackie was a trans artist back in the '60s and from the States originally. She came up to Toronto to sort of escape a lot of the sort of persecution and danger that was happening down in the States for people like her, and she became huge on the Toronto Yonge Street Strip singing soul music in the '60s. And she's just got this unique, amazing phrasing and sound. And like, if you see her perform, she's so cool. Like a duck swimming on water, but like the emotions that are coming up from that are just unreal. And she was so fabulous, like dressed so beautifully, sequins, and really, really done up on stage. And yeah, her music is brilliant. Brilliant.
So this is an introduction for me. I'm not familiar at all with Jackie Shane's.
Okay.
Do you have a video or anything that I could link to, or an album that I could link to, or that I could check out to get familiar?
Yeah, you can just, if you look up Jackie Shane on your Spotify, Apple Music, or YouTube, then you'll find a great playlist of some of her stuff. There's a documentary that VIFF is going to be pairing with my performance that speaks about, what happened to her. And there was this air of mystery around her because she sort of disappeared in 1970 from the scene in Toronto. And people were like, oh my gosh, she must have died or whatever. And she didn't. And she went back to Nashville, where she's originally from, to take care of her poorly parents, and ended up staying because life was just so hard. Every element of life, being a trans woman in the '60s, being a Black person, was so hard that she ended up. I think. I mean, I don't want to give away the movie, but she kind of ended up being a recluse. And then someone rediscovered her album, and it got nominated for a Grammy in the late 2010s, like 2018, 2019. And yeah, so, it was kind of neat for her to reemerge, and her music to be rediscovered, which is kind of exactly what we're talking about, this rediscovery. And it's like, there's such fantastic artists and music out there.
I don't want to miss that you pointed out you were presenting or researching even yourself some of these artists because you were developing a show that featured Black women musicians or Black Canadian musicians, or what was that show?
It's called BLAK, and it's spelled BLAK, and the sort of subtitle is Canadian Women in Music and More. And basically, I have just like narrowed down the exact representation that I want to see and hear and perform, and I've made a show about it. And it started actually in New Westminster at the Anvil Center during COVID 2021. They kind of commissioned a show, and I made that. It turned into that it launchpad from that into a school show, and I've been presenting it in schools as a 45-minute set. And then a couple of years ago, 2024, the Western Canada Theatre in Kamloops asked me to double the show and basically even make it even more. And so now it's a full 2 45-minute theater show that highlights Black Canadian women in history, sports, politics, music, and it's all to the music of current Black Canadian women artists. So.
Wow, yeah, that's outstanding. I'm from New West. That's awesome. That started at the end.
Oh, nice.
I could absolutely appreciate that. I haven't seen it. I might have had it on the gig list, but yeah, that wasn't front of mind for me when I was thinking about you before we were going to talk. I was thinking about Hey Viola though, because I was familiar with that. This is a different show.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So as of late, like I have just been finding so much power and so much momentum in these shows where I can see myself and finding representation. So I co-created Hey Viola, which is about, a lady that we see on our $10 bill. And do you have one? And yeah, there it is. Very nice.
I don't think I've ever held up a piece of money on this show before.
Yeah, but that's a special one. Yeah. And so it was when that was coming out that my co-creator, Tracy Power, and I kind of said, well, who is this woman behind what we see of her on this $10 bill? Why is she there? And, what else did she do? And we discovered that she's this incredible entrepreneur, a beauty entrepreneur, way beyond and above her time. And she started this whole beauty school, beauty line in her early 30s in 1940, I think in the early 1940s. She had a line of beauty salons, and she was like a real powerhouse in that time. And she sort of modeled her business after Madam C.J. Walker. So it was like, she's such an incredible, accomplished person. And one tiny incident when her car broke down in a small town just shifted her entire life, and she lost everything because she walked into a movie theater and sat in the wrong spot. And she got dragged out and dragged through court and abused and like physically assaulted, I should say. And it ruined her life. She lost her business because of it. She lost her marriage. She, lost her community. And it's a very devastating story. So we tell that story to the soundtrack of her time. So we call it the Hey Viola soundtrack of a life. And we do it to the music from the 1930s to the 1960s, mid 60s, when she passed away.
Wow. So in terms of telling the story in the show, is there a lot of spoken word or is it delivered a lot through musical numbers? What's the presentation of the show like then?
I'd say it's like 50-50. There's 17 songs that we've chosen. And then it's kind of like this autobiographical, like remembering. So, we start the show like, I remember being in the kitchen washing dishes and this happened and that happened, and it's sort of like this very biographical or yeah, remembrance. Kind of like your life flashing before your eyes and you seeing these pivotal moments in life that kind of really shaped who you are and why you've done something. And then she kind of comes to the end and discovers like, oh, this is why I did that.
Wow. It's so cool to get an overview of now we've just blasted through so many projects that are like this and meaningful in this way.
Yeah, well, it's bringing me a lot of joy and it's keeping me busy. It's keeping me busy. So it's easy to give like the elevator pitch of them. I'm used to it now.
Yeah. Speaking of keeping you busy, there's another thing you have upcoming. You are doing a Valentine's Day show for Infidels, billed as Krystle Dos Santos Loves You at the Fox.
Yeah.
So, what is that going to be like to whatever extent you want to mention it now?
So I've got kind of a funny story about this. Like a year ago on Valentine's Day, we did a Sade for Valentine's and I lost my voice, like gone. And it was the most panicked moment. I couldn't believe it. I'd never lost my voice quite like that in years and years. And so I feel like this is kind of like the chance to renew and
Making
redo.
good.
Yeah. So, we're not, while I'm doing Sade elsewhere, we're going to mix in some of those songs, but make it more of just like a Krystle Dos Santos offering of love. Going to be love songs, some original music, which I often write about love, as you do. And yeah, just kind of a self love, a romantic love, a friendship love fest, a love of, life. And I think it'll be a really good time. I think it'll be really fun because we've had so many awesome moments in 2025, and I feel like this will kind of be like a great way to summarize it or put it all together in one place and just pick out the very best of the love songs to highlight.
Can you talk a bit about some or all of the musicians who will join you on that show and some history that you have with them?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, the band that I play with, at least the core rhythm section, which is piano, drums, and guitar, I've played with for like a decade or more. And I play with them every single month at Underneath the Harlem Moon Cabaret, which is something that I do on the first Tuesday of every month at Guilt and Company. But so we have all of this wonderful practice and sort of gelled togetherness. And that's Jonny Holisko, Gavin Youngash, Tinney. I think we're going to bring Dominic Conway on for this one as well, a saxophonist. And we've been doing Motown shows, we've been doing, Sade shows, we've been doing Stevie Wonder shows, all sorts of music together. And just they are like I use this analogy quite a bit. They're the ocean in which my boat can float, and we vibe the water real well. We kind of can read each other, and the relationship there is so strong. They're like family to me. And they've seen my family grow from having kids and going on tour with each other to all sorts. So it's wonderful to have that kind of close knit vibe when you have a band because especially when it comes to shows like this, it's like, okay, guys, we're going to pull from like these 7 projects that we did this year. Cool. And then it's not too crazy of a learning curve for them.
They have to be down.
Yeah. Yeah. I ask a lot. I ask a lot of them, but they're always game. So yeah.
Yeah. That's great that you have already such long running collaborators. I actually don't know where you grew up because I don't think it was in Vancouver, was it?
No,
No.
I was born in Red Deer, Alberta. Didn't live there for very long, but I grew up mostly in Edmonton. So from 2.5 or 3-ish, right until I think I left to go to university in Toronto. I did university in Edmonton, but I did like a practicum in Toronto. Planned to move there, and then my parents moved to the island when I was there. And I kind of decided, you know what, I'd rather actually be closer to my family. And I'm glad I did. I certainly, you'll never forget saying, let me be close to my parents, And that's the career that I was able to build here in Vancouver from kind of deciding east over west, if you will. Yeah, because I'm a prairie girl at heart.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm making the same choice right now in terms of being close to my family. I am very, very close to them because my spouse and I are renting their basement suite right here
Oh,
in what you see behind me. We're
that's
pretty happy with
amazing.
that choice.
Yes, I love hearing that because that's kind of a necessity now in today's marketplace, you know. It's good when people can kind of have those options available to them. It's great.
Yeah, it's not an option we would want to turn down when it's available to us. So as long as everybody's happy, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, right? That's just what it is. Absolutely.
You've played at the Vancouver International Jazz Festival several times, including last year. So maybe it was the same band that you played with last year. What did you play? You were at Ocean Artworks. What did you play last year?
Oh my goodness, what did we play last year? I think we played. I remember what I wore, but is it weird that I don't remember exactly what we played? Here's my guy. Hi, buddy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think we played a bunch of. I'd have to go back and look at my set list. Let me see. I might even have it right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we played like some original music and some, some of my usual covers, if you will. And it was fun. It was amazing. The year before that, or the time before that, we definitely did the soundtrack of Hey Viola. So we went and we pulled from the Hey Viola soundtrack. And yeah, let me see. Jazz. Yeah, looks like I did a whole bunch of originals and I kind of blended a lot of my projects. So I did some stuff from BLAK and I did some stuff from Hey Viola and Motown and other ones. Say hi. Say
That's
hi.
awesome. Hello.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah. But I remember what I wore more than that's strange. I wore
Yeah.
this like black and white suit and it was kind of like abstract black and white art. It was cool. Yeah.
I don't want to cruise past the fact that you were in about 30 seconds or less of real time. You were able to pull up a set list from a show over 6 months ago. And even though you didn't have space in your full short-term memory of all the shows you played recently, what you played, you were able to find the set list and find out. Like, that speaks to your organization skills.
Yeah. With the amount of things that I'm doing and kid schedules, like you got to have this stuff, you know. Yeah, yeah.
Can I ask you a bit of an abstract underneath the Harlem Moon question that will force you to think back a little bit, I guess. I'll warn you.
I've got those set lists too.
If you think back to when the time or the year when you started doing that, like where were you at in life and anything, and how do you compare it to like where you are now? Because it's been running a long time.
The year was 19. No, actually, it was 2013. And I remember very specifically because I went on this walkabout in like January and February to go down to the States to discover music there so that I could get inspiration to figure out who am I musically, or whatever that was. So that was a very impactful kind of trip for me. And then I came home to a Dreamgirls musical contract doing at the Arts Club here in Vancouver. And during that production, which again was a super pivotal moment for me, it was an all black cast in Vancouver, which is very rare because the population here is incredibly small. And then even smaller still, people who act and sing and dance, to be cast for this show. So there was 17 black performers all in one cast, which is maybe didn't happen since 1981 in 2013. And I don't know if it's happened since. So it's a very rare moment. And I thought that the cast was so talented and I wanted to hear more that I called up Guilt and Company and I said, can we have a cabaret where I showcase the music and the art of the people from this cast from Dreamgirls? And we did. And that was sort of the initial seed. That was 2019. Or sorry, what did I say? 2013.
Yeah.
And the very next year, or a few months later, the manager at the time had called me up and said, do you want to make this a regular monthly thing? And if you did, what would you call it? And my very first ever tour I called Underneath the Harlem Moon tour.
Oh,
And so I that was, gosh, I don't even remember what year that was. That was 2009. So I was like, I loved that name. I love that imagery and that sort of idea. And it's like an old album from like probably the 30s or 40s. And so I named the night that, and here we are, would be 13 years later from the Dreamgirls one, maybe 12 from when it became a regular night. And so yeah, we're going into our 12th official year, maybe if you consider the Dreamgirls one the first one, then 13 years. So yeah.
do you look back on the 12 years ago and you think about where you were and you're just like, oh, I was just starting out and I didn't know anything? Or like, how do
Yes.
you?
100%. Like it was, I created a space that I needed. That's exactly what I did. And I just desperately wanted to find places to perform, a band to perform with that was supportive and would learn whatever songs I wanted to do. And so that's exactly what I've created for other people as well as myself. And I was just so young and naive. Like I said, I was going on a trip. I was 31 at the time, but I still felt quite young, you know. And I went on a trip. I let go of everything, my apartment, my whatever, to go and do this kind of self-discovery. And it was one of the most incredible and best learning experiences I ever could have done. Self-discovery and musical discovery and otherwise. And I think that helped me shape my intention moving forward as to what I needed, right? Like if you ask, like this is a big belief for me. If I ask, how can I do this? What do I need? How can I get? Then you kind of just get like one thing, right? But if you in the cliche, if you teach a man to fish, or if you say, how can I help my community? How can I help the bigger picture? How can I help you? Like the amount you receive back is way more than you'll ever get by saying, how can I personally get this, rather than how can I give, right? How can I give rather than how can I get is such a different experience. And you'll always get by giving, but you might not get as much just by getting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you for speaking to this. I mean, it's so cool the timing for me to hear because I just turned 31 myself.
Oh, nice. Well, happy belated. Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful year. It's a beautiful, like I think we think that our 20s are grown up, but I think our 30s are like such young adultness. And your 40s you start, or late 30s you start shedding the insecurities. And I'm 44 this year, 43 right now, but 44 this year. And I feel like the amount that I have changed and my mentality has shifted, my confidence, um, my willingness to want to share and give back and pay forward is just exponential. And it's like, it's been giving me so much joy in life to do that rather than to hold on to stuff. Like, if I have all this information, I'm going to share it. I'm not going to keep it. That's what life is for. You got to teach. Yeah.
Yeah, we love that. To bring it all the way around to the Inlet music series. So the band you mentioned, Gavin Youngash, Tinney, Jonny Holisko, Dominic Conway, potentially. Is that who's going to be there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my usual crew. Yeah, so we're going to just kind of lean into a lot of the songs that have a lot of meaning to me. I think we'll probably do almost an entirely original set, which is really fun and exciting for me. It's almost like, because a lot of those songs are like a number of years old, 5 to 15 years old. It's like I'm doing covers, right? In a way, like I'm going back and remembering, oh gosh, my voice was so young when I recorded
Oh
Hurricane
yeah.
or Shiny Little Pearl or whatever. So it's beautiful to be able to go back and revisit those songs. Hi, bud. Ah.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing it. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me about all these different things, and I hope you have a great run of all your activities between now and then.
Thank you. That's a good way of putting it. I've got a lot of activities between now and then. So thanks for the chat. I really appreciate it.